Hey there! So in 2021 March, I decided to move from Las Vegas back to Miami, where I used to live before. Before the pandemic, I used to live in Miami for 7 years already. But during the pandemic, I was in Las Vegas already for 5 years, which, by the way, I really loved. I loved living in Las Vegas. But I was one of those people who felt very isolated during the pandemic. I was working from home in my job, Zoom meeting after Zoom meeting, day after day. I was single. So I felt very isolated. And at the end, in March in 2021, I lost my job thanks to the pandemic. So I had to make a decision of what to do. I decided to move back to Miami, Florida, where I have at least a sister, so at least one family member. And I was already living here before for several years. So I knew the area, I kind of thought, I knew what to expect. And I decided that I'm gonna continue my life again here in Miami. I will do another video about that, what I expected, thinking things haven't changed much since I lived here the first time ever in my life. They actually did change a lot, so I'm going to do another video about that. But this one is going to be about my moving process. So if you are considering a big move, moving from another state especially, then definitely make sure to watch this video and learn from my experience. Hopefully it's going to help you to do something and not do some things, or do some things better than I did, because I'm telling you, this move was a disaster. So my tip number one for you when moving again, especially from another state, from one state to another state, my number one tip would be is do an extensive research of the moving company. The one I did, I thought I did a good research. The one I did and ended up moving all my furniture and my belongings with, they promised that they will bring it in 3 weeks, while all my belongings took 3 months to receive. 3 excruciating months. Week after week being told that either they don't have an update about the status of my delivery yet, or it's still sitting in their warehouse, but they don't have now a truck. They don't know when they're gonna bring it. They will let me know. So week after week, when I called them for updates, these were the answers I got from them. And I ended up sitting here in Miami in an empty apartment for 3 months, 3 excruciating months, that I was super upset and I was powerless over the situation. I had nothing to do. I couldn't change it. And again, I thought I did a good research. I read some of the reviews of the companies. I learned in the process that I did have a contract with a big shipping company who ended up outsourcing my order. I understand this is typical in the moving industry, that one signs a contract with one company, but it ends up passing on the contract to somebody else. And in the end, my stuff was not shipped by the company I had the initial contract with. So my recommendation to you would be is do an extensive research, call the company, ask them about their process, see the reviews, don't ignore the reviews, and make sure you know and are aware of the process of how your belongings are going to be shipped. And whatever they say, the timeline, just don't take it granted. It's probably not gonna happen. It may be better now with the pandemic being kind of over. They blamed the delay on the pandemic, of course, like everything was due to the pandemic in 2021 yet. But again, just do an extensive research and make sure you know the process, and whatever the timeline that they give you, keep in mind that that might not end up being the case, and you will end up living like me in an empty apartment on an airbed for 3 months. My tip number two is that based on this shipping experience I had, I would say pack differently. The way I packed my stuff, I literally gave everything to the shipping company. I drove my car here from Las Vegas. It took me about 5 days. So I drove my car and I had in my car whatever it fit. As for clothing items and personal items, all I had was the typical carry-on suitcase, the size of a carry-on that you can take on the airplanes. and that's all I had. It had about 5 t-shirts, a pair of shorts, a pair of sneakers, and that's all that I had. As for personal items, I had everything given to the moving company, and I didn't receive it for 3 months. So my number 2 tip would be for you is that make sure you pack your items so that you have somewhat of a basic wardrobe and somewhat of your everyday basic items. Of course, you can buy a toothbrush, you can buy shampoo at the place you're going to, but I wasn't prepared to buy a whole brand new wardrobe, not knowing that my stuff is not arriving for 3 months. So I would suggest just learn from this experience and you pack better than I did, and make sure that you have more of your personal items and your clothing, shoes, things that you can think of that you would need if you didn't have all your stuff for 3 months, but basic items that would still keep you going and have and provide you a regular everyday life. Make sure to take those with you. Number 3 of my tips for you is that something I wish I had done better in my situation was that even though I didn't have my clothes on me, I had really nothing on me, and I tried to go to job interviews or decide what I'm gonna do next as for a job. I couldn't go in a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, and all my friends encouraged me just to go buy something, but I just lost my job, so I was very scared of what's gonna be next. I didn't want to spend my savings, and I didn't really go shopping. Now, if you know, it's really inexpensive to buy some clothes here in the United States. You can buy a dress for $10-15, and just go ahead and buy what you need. This is my tip for you. Of course, don't go on a crazy shopping spree. That's not what I mean. I just mean that I wish, from my experience, something that I would have done better is that I just should have gone and buy a couple of dresses and, just help me feel like a woman instead of wearing a t-shirt for 3 months, wearing the same t-shirt for 3 months. So yeah, just do that differently, that part, and just go buy a couple of basic items that you need if you find yourself in a situation like I did, that I didn't have any of my personal belongings, my basic items on me for 3 months. My number 4 tip for you is when you're moving to a new state, a new city, study in advance very well where do you want to live. Do your extensive research. Make a decision of what's important for you really, really in advance. Do you care to be in a neighborhood that's vibrant, that's lively, or do you care for a more of a laid-back area? Do you care for an apartment? Do you want amenities in a building or like a swimming pool? We are in Florida, it's always warm. We always want a swimming pool, at least. Or do you want to be close to the beach? Do you not care for that? Do you need schools for your children? Do you care about the crime rate in this area where you're heading to? So I encourage you to do your research. Feel free to reach out to a realtor. This is not a marketing pitch here, but I did reach out to a realtor. Happened to be my sister. I was lucky. I had a family member that was a realtor. I had to fully rely on her. Even though I lived in Miami 10 years prior, I did not remember the areas anymore. I didn't know what's a good area. I told her what I want. I was in another state. I had no chance to view the place that I'm going to get. I had to rely on another person. So make sure that you are going to get comfortable with what kind of a person you hire for this job. But yeah, trust that somebody will need to help you, and go find yourself a person like that and do your extensive research about the area. You're gonna live there, chances are, for a while, and you don't want to make regrets. You don't want to get stuck in a place for months or years that you don't enjoy. This is a very important decision, so make sure to do your research and ask for some help. My item number 5, I wish I had done differently when I moved to Miami. I came here thinking the first thing I'm gonna buy is a bicycle. This must be the place where the weather is always nice, and I'm just gonna get, I know the traffic is bad, so I'm just gonna get everywhere on a bicycle. Well, guess how long it took me to get a bicycle? It was over a year. Somebody gifted me a bicycle. I meant to buy it so many times. Instead, I just ended up walking in the neighborhood, which is really a pity. I think a bicycle is essential here in Florida, and or at least in Miami. Yeah, in Florida, everywhere in Florida. I would get a bicycle. Get a bicycle. It's so much fun to bike in the neighborhood. The weather again is always so good, and yeah, it's a great activity. It just feels good, nice. Get out of the house, get out of work, get on your bike, and just do a couple of errands with your bike. This is one of my biggest regrets that I haven't done here. It sounds simple, right? But it is a big regret. I wish I had bought a bicycle sooner. My tip number 6 is that as soon as you arrive, plug in to social networks. You know, you're probably going to be new unless you go to a job environment. Well, even there, you're going to be new. I moved several times to different states, so I know the experience. And each time it was my focus to make sure when I arrive, I start building my social network up. It is very important not to feel isolated, and we don't know anybody in a new place probably other than our immediate family members. So plug into some social networks. There is Internations is a great community for expats that live in another country, different nationalities. I joined that group. I'm not affiliated with them, so this is not advertising them, but I participated in several lovely events that they organized, and we foreigners can relate, you know, to the feeling that we come from another country, we come from another place, we come from, you know, different social backgrounds, and so we already start on this common ground. And so we have something we all can relate to, and there is meetups. So there is all kinds of various activities these groups organize. And when you are new in a place, it's essential, in my opinion and my experience, that you find these activities and you, as soon as you can, you start participating, meeting people, and you get that feeling of like you belong here in this new place too. Lastly, my probably one of my biggest advice for you from my personal experience is that just enjoy where you are at. After I landed in Miami again, the second time in my life, even though I was conscious of this, it did take me some time to remind myself that I need to enjoy the place I am at. I mean, I'm not a beach person. I don't go suntan. I'm not a great swimmer. I don't feel safe in the ocean. I'm scared of the sharks. Yes. And so I don't like to go on the beach. Now I decided to live in a city that is surrounded by beaches, and everybody loves the beach and the boats. Guess what? I get nauseous on the boats, even with the Dramamine. So I'm totally kind of in the wrong place. But I made this decision for various reasons to be here, and I had to remind myself at one point that I have to enjoy what I got instead of crying for what I no longer have, meaning I loved hiking in Las Vegas and I no longer have that. And I needed to remind myself that besides swimming in the ocean, there are activities and friends and you know, things to do here, you know, that made me move to this place. The decisions, there was reasons behind why I moved here. So might as well focus on the good stuff here, you know, might as well focus on what I like and make my life here enjoyable versus being miserable and sad over the things I don't have. This is really a big one. I hope you get it. It took me a little bit to get it. And to live my life accordingly, because that's what I'm doing these days, you know. I try to live by this and be happy and get the best out of the place where I am at least for now. Anyways, my name is Brigitta Malix. I'm a realtor with eXp Realty in Miami, Florida. I hope these tips are helping you. If you have any questions regarding life in Miami or anything, or you can relate to these stories, leave a comment below. I hope you like my channel. Make sure to subscribe. I will put out more and more videos about living here in Miami. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out.